Welcome to the Kevin Dunn Show, and as always, we are so excited that you've taken time out to join us. We have another special show on tap for you today. We have a special guest in the house, a young lady who's dealt with depression for over 30 years. When we come back from the commercial break, we're going to be introducing to you our special guest, and she's going to be telling you how she overcame the battle of depression.
At Charter Bank, you get totally free checking with online statements. You betcha. Free mobile banking, free online banking, free online bill pay, free debit card, even a new account gift. Free. At Charter Bank, we're here to wow you. And totally free checking is just the beginning. Come see us or open online at charterbank.net. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
What we believe matters. Gene King is part of the team that cut over $4 billion from our schools. He even thinks some teachers just don't care about our kids' futures. And Gene isn't for Medicaid expansion for Georgia seniors and veterans. That's bad.
But Bob Trammell is different. Bob's wife Jenny works as a pharmacist in LaGrange. Bob believes our families should come first. Bob will expand Medicaid for seniors and veterans. And Bob will restore funding for our schools and fight for pay raises for teachers. Bob Trammell, putting Georgia families first.
Welcome back to the Kevin Dunn Show. Our special guest in the house today is Cathy Bullard. How are you doing?
Doing fine.
And Cathy, you said you battled depression for over 30 years. Looking at you now, you definitely can't tell. So when did you first start noticing, and how old were you when you first started noticing that there was a shift and you started to feel somewhat different?
Well, it all started around the age of 19.
Okay.
I had a bad experience and a near death.
Near death.
Near death. And I guess I was probably about 25 where I realized that I was bitter, anger, and something was going on. And it was on, I had to put myself in this place where I was just fearful. And it caused me to lead to depression. And I just, you start feeling different. You might not admit it. You might not even, sometimes, I think for a period I didn't know, because you can deal with depression and not even know it. But looking back over my life now, I can truly say that it's a journey, it's a process, and without God, oh, thank you, Jesus, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
But because I'm here, I want to be able to share with someone else, because we have so much of that going on in the area, in our area right now. And after I realized that God had delivered me and brought me out of this, I asked him, would he just give me the strength to be able to be a blessing to someone else that's dealing with depression.
And it's so true in our society today. So many kids, adults are dealing with this problem. So what are some changes that you notice when, even though you didn't know that you were depressed, but what are some changes, some things that were happening in your life to make you feel like you were in a state of depression?
Well, let me see. Not being able to communicate with other people. You would shut yourself in because you'll feel like you're in a dark place. And I always was the type of person I wanted to push everybody else out front and allow me to hide. And there's not anything wrong with that.
Right.
But there come a time where you need to step up, and show the real person that you are. Show the person, because most of us, there's a person on the inside that just waiting to come out, just waiting to share with somebody, hey, this is who I am. But for years, I was in this dark place. And being in a dark place, it's a lonely place.
Right.
And it led me to a place of depression. And I was like, I didn't, for one thing, being honest, I didn't care about how I looked.
Okay.
And I, for a period, because I was on drugs at one time. Now, I was delivered from crack cocaine.
Wow.
And people would look at me now and say, not you. And I was like, oh, yes, me. Because you can hide this. I hid it from my kids. My daughter, she did not even know that there was a season in my life that I was on crack cocaine. And I got up in church one day, and when you get delivered, you know, the first thing you want to do is you want to get that testimony.
Right.
And I remember getting in the car, and my daughter was looking at me like, Mama, you went through all that. You was a crackhead. I said, but God, and I had to do that to be able to help someone else come out and let them know, because one thing, you always think you're alone.
Exactly.
But you are never alone, because one thing, the Lord say he'll never leave you, nor will he forsake you. He'll always be with you, but the next thing, he have people.
That's right.
There are people, and I was afraid to talk to people. I was afraid, even though I knew there were some people knew what I had been through, I was still in this dark place where I'm not going to say nothing. And I raised my 5 and 4 more, 3 more, I raised 8 kids in a place of depression where I just felt like, God, if I just help them, I'm going to be all right. Until it was after my mom died. And can I be honest? I was in church. I had been there for 8 years serving. I was just like, which I've been knowing the Lord ever since I was a little girl, but I was in this place still of depression now.
Right, okay.
Not knowing this is where I was at. But when my mom died, I left the church. I left everybody. And it was that point where I realized that I just needed God. I needed for him to show me who he was hands-on. Not just taking, which you should always listen to your pastor, but just not taking their word, but just knowing God. You know, get in the word yourself and allow the Spirit to speak to you. And that's the only way I came out. I could work it. I could master it. I was raising kids. I was doing jobs. Once in my life, I had 5 kids and I had 5 jobs.
5 kids and 5 jobs. Single parent.
Single parent. 5 kids.
And going through depression
and
at the same time.
going through depression at the same time.
Wow.
But it was like, it was busy. I was drowning myself because I was trying to cover this up, like, because, you know, we always say, I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm
Everything's
good.
fine.
After he delivered me from the crack cocaine, I almost slipped off into alcohol.
So you almost?
Almost, because I never been a drinker. I couldn't drink because anybody know me. If I take a good drink, I'm throwing up, so they know.
Okay.
I knew I couldn't handle alcohol, but I tried it, you know, and then God delivered me from that. And I just thank him every day. And once he started making these changes in my life, but I had to see myself and admit to myself that I had a problem. And it was all right for me to say somebody else had a problem.
Right.
But I had to admit that down through the years, I had dealt with depression, which depression started from being fearful. And fear led me to a state of depression.
Now, what was your attitude like? Did you have a nasty attitude all these years?
Oh, yes, ask my family. Whew, they were like, she'll give you her heart, but she's so mean.
Wow.
And I was like, I used to say to people, do I just look mean? And I couldn't help it because of the tragedy that happened to me when I was 19, when I almost lost my life. Like I said, it was my husband, who I was separated from. I was going to take him back, and because I was dating somebody else, I was 19.
Right.
I was still going to church. I had went to church that night to a revival before that happened. And I know that you can't control what other people do, but you can trust God, no matter what other people do. And being a young girl, that night before this happened to me, I had been to revival. And I don't know, God always has spoke to me, even from a little girl. I had to take that journey. And you know what, I even asked God at some points why I didn't die.
Okay.
I did.
Wow.
But he kept his hand on me.
Kept his hand on you. That's
He kept
awesome.
his hand on me. And I'm so grateful today that he kept his hand on me and he didn't let go. But not only did he not let go, I had to reach out and touch him.
You had to reach out and touch him.
I had to hold on for life now. Like I said, I've been through some things. But I am here today only because of the grace of God. And I want to help someone else to know that you can overcome depression.
That's right. That's right.
Even with medicine, even with therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You can, because I've been on both sides. Because when I first started, I'm a 60s baby.
Okay.
My family didn't believe in going to the doctor, no psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
It was always bad to hear that word in my house.
Exactly.
Because my grandmama said, I'm going to pray for you, and if this devil don't come out, you going back down some more.
That's so true.
So
That's
prayer
so true.
was powerful in our home, but God He have given us new tools to work with.
New tools to work with, and we just have to, it's up to us to use them.
We have to use them. We
Now-
have to use
Now,
them.
Cathy, going through this state of depression, did you ever think about harming yourself?
Well, I did, and I can remember when I was on crack, and I remember my girlfriend, she's dead and gone now. I remember my family always looked at me like they wanted me to be the queen of the family. And I was looking bad. And I remember looking in the mirror, and I seen an ugly picture. And my girlfriend knocked on my door, and she came in, and I was at this place where I was like, I just wanted to die, because I was done. And I went off to the hospital, and the Lord visited me again and said, you don't have to stay here. I went to Bullard, stayed about 3 nights after missing my babies, signed myself out the hospital, and God been taking care of me through this journey. He delivered me. But I thought at one point that, my life was not worth living. But then I always thought about my kids. I had 2 sons. But I never just wanted to just shoot myself or cut myself. I just always felt like I wasn't worthy of this life.
Wow, felt like you were not worthy.
I felt like I was not worthy, but because of God's grace and His mercy.
So you were actually diagnosed. Did you ever go to the doctor and they diagnosed
Well, no,
you?
I went.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I went over to the hospital, and the only way they can take me in was I told them that I had thought about killing myself, but I never thought about killing myself. I just wanted to stop smoking crack.
Okay, all right.
And I just didn't know then, But I remember, I just kept saying, God, you just gotta help me out of this. You just gotta help me out of this. And my girlfriend, she looked at me, and like I say, she dead and gone now. But she was like, why you worrying? And I remember her opening her bank book because she had a bunch of money at that time. And she said, why you worrying? I'm the one ought to be worrying. And she showed me these figures. And I've given this testimony to a couple people where we had done smoked over $20,000 in a 6-month time. So
wow.
For me to be here today and to share with somebody, I don't care what you're going through, God will bring you out of it. And I was depressed. I was depressed.
$20,000 worth over a 6-month period.
Yes, and it was about 5 of us.
About 5 of y'all.
Yes.
Wow, and look at you now.
And look at me now. Look what God has done. I cannot take no credit for it. Back then, I didn't try to go and try to see a psychiatrist or, or nothing like that. But God did allow me the chance to walk with someone else.
Okay, that's good.
To see a shrink and to go to therapy.
Okay, good deal. All right, we're going to have to pause and take a quick commercial break. When we come back from the commercial break, we're going to be asking Cathy Bullard, can you be depressed and not know it? More of Cathy Bullard on The Kevin Dunn Show. You have pain, we have solutions. Total Healthcare of LaGrange Joint Restoration Program specializes in providing electrical stimulation and injections to get rid of your knee and shoulder pain. Total Healthcare's injections helps and repair ligaments, taking away all of your knee pain within 5 to 7 weeks. We offer special braces and supports to assist you, and we are now accepting Medicare with payment plans as low as $20 per month. If your joints need lubricating and you desire to regain mobility of your knee free of pain, Total Healthcare can make you new all over again.
Hi, I'm Jerome Mike Alford. I'm running for chairman of the Troup County Board of Commissioners. I'm a lifelong resident of Troup County, a graduate of Troup High, a graduate of Bethune-Cookman College. I served 30 years United States Marine Corps Reserve and 28 years Georgia State Patrol. We share the same concerns as taxpayers of Troup County. Our children, our senior citizens, county spending, county services. I'm ready to serve as your chairman of the Troup County Board of Commissioners. I look forward to working with the other 4 commissioners to make Troup County taxpayers the priority of Troup County. On November the 4th, I want to serve as your chairman of the Troup County Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
It's the 500 Truck Challenge at the Truck Super Center for the entire Southeast. The all-new Opelika Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep Ram, and Opelika Ford. 500 trucks at the guaranteed lowest prices. Find the lower advertised price and we'll beat it by at least $500. Plus, we'll donate to ALS for every vehicle sold. New trucks $10,000 off at the 500 Truck Challenge.
Folks, you've just got to see this place.
The all-new Opelika Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep Ram, and Opelika Ford, just 25 minutes from Columbus.
Welcome back to the Kevin Dunn Show, where our special guest is Cathy Bullard. Cathy has overcome depression being depressed for 30 years, and she's sharing her testimony. Very powerful. We're going to ask you, do you think a person can be, well, I'm pretty sure you do because you went through this, but a lot of people think that you can be depressed and not know it. So do you think that's a true statement, that you can be depressed and not know it?
You can, but as it goes on, you will know it. The thing up is getting to the point to accept it, you know, and to see that there's something wrong here. Because like we said, we good with saying I'm good, and we good with making up, and you know, you can cover it up, but there's a time. I mean, you know. You'll know. You will just know. You'll know.
Okay.
You will know.
So, you being depressed, you found other ways to deal with it. So, as far as the crack cocaine issue, do you think that was helping you cope with your depression, or you just did that just because of how it made you feel? Was it a cover up? What do you think about it?
I did it. I'm gonna be honest. I did it to fit in.
Oh, to fit in.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Because like I said, what happened to me, I always been from a little girl. I always had been in the church. I had always had a covering. My grandmama prayed for me, and this lady from Brooklyn, New York, named Mother Pearson, she always prayed for me. But then when this tragedy happened to me, where I almost lost my life, well, being at 19, it seemed to me that the church wasn't there because I was labeled to be with a bad person,
right.
And he had a depression too. And for some reason, God always allowed me to have that spirit of love, to love a person beyond what you can see, because you know there's a root to something that he was dealing with, and I just couldn't explain it to after he went off and served his time and come back and took his own life. And I was like, God, you know, because for years I thought at 19, what did I do? How did this happen, you know? But God just kept me in my right mind. I thank him for that. But I always wondered, why couldn't he ever talk to somebody? Okay. Even though he talked to me, and I couldn't tell people exactly everything that he was saying to me because he was covering it.
Okay, he was covering it.
Before he killed himself, he was in the church, becoming a minister. Wow. Every dream that he had dreamed of, he had accomplished them. He got the home, the cars, the wife, and time went by, and he flipped again.
He flipped again. So this is that tragic experience that you were talking about.
Yes, that happened to me.
And you didn't witness this, did you?
I was there. He put the gun to my head. He came to kill me because I was going to take my husband back. Me and my husband had been separated. My husband was living in Atlanta with his mom because we were separated due to the fact he had to leave Alabama. I never shared that with anybody. Okay. But he had to leave Alabama, and he had went to Atlanta, and he called me and said that he wanted to see my sons, that I had 2 sons. He wanted to see them for the last time. And he called me, so I went and visited him. And that night, we shared a night of telling each other, I'm sorry for this, and, you know, admitting what we did wrong in the marriage, and I was going to take my husband back. And the young man, which all of us was friends, because we grew up together. And he was so protective of me, because I say people, you know, it always been a thing with me when I hook up with people. And he came in, and he sit there, and he was like, okay, what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna take my husband back. And he stood up, and he put the gun to my head. And I could remember, because my 2 sons was there too, I could remember saying, oh my God. And my husband was standing beside me.
Oh, y'all were there together?
We was all there together. And my husband said, he was about to say, don't shoot my wife. And he took the gun off of me. and put it to him and shot him. And at this time, he was saying, I'm finna kill all of us. So by this time, I had a 3-year-old son and a 1-year-old son that was in the bedroom. My 3-year-old son come out the room, and I begged him, after I'm watching my husband take his last breath, because being shot close range, I'm like, just take me out and kill me. Don't kill me in front of my sons. So that's why he took me out in the woods and kept me out there for 8 hours. And the 8 hours I was out there, the Lord allowed me to minister to him, and I wasn't even calling myself no minister. But God allowed me to speak to him. And then he would give me the gun and tell me to shoot him, and I kept saying, God, I can't do this. Who gonna be the tell? Who gonna believe me? Anyway, I stayed out there 8 hours, and we in and out of woods and waters. They had the dogs searching for me and everything. And somewhere we end up at a friend's house, and he surrendered. He surrendered? Yeah, he surrendered, but not easily, but he did surrender. And I carried that with me, that was a part that would slip me into a deep depression.
So you went into a deeper depression?
I went into a deep depression. And all of those years, even after I'm going to tell you what happened. After he come out and did his time, and he ended up in trouble again, when he died, I went to the funeral home with his parents. And for years, I walked around with this knot on the inside of me, like I was just in a bundle. And I was close with his family because we was neighbors. And I walked in the funeral home, and I never forget, they opened the bag for his parents to identify his body because they had brought it back from the autopsy. And when they opened the bag, it seemed like the Lord just released me.
Wow, Cathy.
He released me, and I was like, it didn't just complete me then, but it was just something about it, because you always feel like, why would somebody do something like that? But I knew, out of being out there in those woods with him, I knew he was under depression. But I always wanted to help him. I always wanted to help. I never hated him. I learned one scripture, and I did not understand how we would read it, and people would read it and quote it, but how many people can really love it? When it say, love your enemies. And I never hated him, and I thought something was wrong with me. Because people talked about me and put me down, but that's why I said, God, I thank you that he didn't let that cause me to be a real bitter person, which I was angry. I was hurt. But it was shame and fear that kept me down that low until I got in the Word.
Till you got in the Word.
I got in the Word, and I took God at His word. And I took Him, like I said, I left the church because I didn't know no other way. I wanted to get just that personal. When my mom died, I just wanted God to just be me and Him. Me and Him, because you can be with a whole lot of people. I had a family, I have a good husband now, because God did all that. He gave me another husband, a good husband, and even some more children to raise. But I can truly say that you have to talk with someone. You have to. It might not be your pastor, but first you have to start with God.
You have to start with God.
It have to be God, but He got people for you.
So that was the turning point.
That was
you
the
just
turning
totally
point.
turned to Him.
I turned to Him, and I started talking to help other people. See, I thought that once I got in the church in my rightful place, that the pulpit was going to be my limit. If I can get up here and I can reach. But God said no, because I lost my voice through surgery, and I said, I've been cursed. But God allowed me to keep on being able to touch people in lives through the Facebook. That was my first journey, because I couldn't talk for a year. And I would get on the Facebook, and if the Lord say this. Don't care who it's for, trust me, say it.
Say it.
It was going where my voice, it was going where I couldn't physically go.
Right.
But it was touching people. And that's all I could. I had to use what I had.
Use what you had.
Because I want the hoop. I want the hoop, but God, he took that. He said, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to allow you to use what's left. And He restored my voice back. And He took that fear where I can speak out, because it's been 34 years for me to get right here. And I'm grateful to God. 34 years. Wow. For me to be right here. I never went to court. I never had to get on the witness stand because he pleaded guilty, and he didn't want to go to court because he knew I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
You know, and he just didn't never want to see me. But then I got to the point where, hey, I want to tell my story.
Okay.
But now, look how many years that I stayed sheltered.
Right.
But I had a lady at the church come to me about 5 years ago, and she told me, she said, Cathy, you will not be all right until you tell the story.
Tell the story. Cathy, I can't even fathom you sitting there watching somebody getting killed. And I can understand, well, no, I can't understand, but I can just imagine how that sits with you. So why are you really not ashamed to share this story now?
Because all those years, I thought that people had control of my freedom and people had control of my life. But God, it was God who had his hand on me. Because I even asked God why he didn't let me die. Because I had to raise 2 sons. And I wouldn't let another man really touch my sons to a degree that a man should be there like a father figure. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. And I was lost.
You were lost. Wow.
I was lost, but now I'm found.
Now you found.
I'm found, and I sit back so many years, ashamed.
Right.
Ashamed. I was ashamed, and I was hurt. But and I accepted my response. I accepted my part. But I never want to see anyone lose their life, and I wanted to be here to raise my sons. And God has done that for me. He's, it hadn't been easy. But with him, we made it. My sons is 30. I got 12 kids, so I can't keep up with the ages.
Okay, all right.
But one probably 37, 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It looks like we have time probably for one more question. I wanted to ask it from a non-believer and a Christian standpoint. But just if a person who's a Christian watching right now and they're battling with depression, what would you say to them?
Okay, what would I say to them? I would say, trust God, keep trusting him, but you have to take the brakes and the limit off of God. Because, as believers, as Christians, where I come from, prayer does work above all things, but we have to understand that God is a now God. He's equipped people to help us, that we can apply the prayer because it works, but you have to allow people to help you also, to get you to that next stage. Only because I watched my cousin go through it. And looking back over my life, even though God brought me all the way around this mountain and I'm here today, I just don't want to see another young lady struggle.
Right.
The way I struggled with drugs, with sex outside of marriage, and with drinking, because there are some people that they don't care for doing that.
Right.
But I used that to make my way through.
That's great. Okay.
I did. I used that to make my way through.
Well, Cathy, very powerful testimony. We thank you for dropping by, being a guest on the Kevin Dunn Show. I know you've been touched, and I know that you know now that you can overcome depression.
Yes, you can.
Once again, if there's a topic that you would like to see discussed on the Kevin Dunn Show, please email us at thekevindunshow@wjcntv.com. We thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.